This special NFL Draft edition of Hey Fightin' Podcast, Road to the Pros, is brought to you by Community Coffee, bringing people together over great tasting coffee for over 4 generations. Discover your favorite blend at your local grocery store or visit us at communitycoffee.com. All right, Zach von Rosenberg, welcome back to the show. You're a veteran. I don't have to do the whole intro. Welcome to Pro Day. How's this experience? You've been through the draft process before, but not this draft process before. How different is getting ready for the Major League Draft coming out of high school and then getting ready for the NFL Draft coming out of college?
They're very similar and also very different at the same time. And I guess the way they evaluate players now, because there's so many things that have come out in recent years, I guess, with how you can test players' mental abilities and personalities. Like, I've taken personality tests, I've taken IQ tests, I've taken, it seems like now, like, even though in baseball I got a lot of evaluation, a lot of people interviewed on my, asking people about me.
Sure.
Now it's more, they have like testing.
Yeah,
like
it's quantitative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it is very thorough, and I can't imagine how thorough it is for a higher draft pick. Not that I'm, a guaranteed draft pick, but I still have been evaluated like I am a draft pick. So,
yeah.
And that's been a cool part of the process, because it reminds me a lot of 2009 when I was going through the baseball draft process.
So let's go inside some of those tests that you've done, personality tests. What's a personality test look like? Is it like literally pencil and paper and you're filling out like a Scantron, or is it like written exam?
It was written, or it was online too, but it was describe. Of
course, it's
like
online.
Describe what most describes you, best describes you. Questions like 60 or 80 of them. It's just, does this best describe you? Does this best describe you?
Gotcha.
And are you most likely or least likely? And it's a lot of those strange questions that I've never had to do before.
Well, I mean, I asked Jacoby the strangest question he got. I'll just start there. What's the strangest question you've gotten so far in this process? Interviewing with teams, doing tests, whatever.
It was a question about baseball. It was like, why do you think? What do you think caused, or why did you struggle? Essentially, what was your biggest issue in baseball? And it wasn't that I was surprised by it. It wasn't that it was an odd question. It was just something I hadn't thought about in a while, because I haven't been playing baseball for a while.
Yeah.
And I just said that it was hard to face struggle in a sport that I hadn't struggled in before until that point.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it went.
You had a decision to make. Some of these guys, we got all the pictures up there. Some of these guys just ran out of eligibility. You actually had a decision to make. Would it have been a sixth year that you had the choice to come back for a sixth year and be how old are you now, 31?
I'm 30. I'll be 31 in September.
Okay, and be a 31-year-old sixth-year senior, or go to the next level. Now, I think we all understand why you made the decision you did. But what is that consideration process like? Had you been leaning that way for a long time? Was it, all right, the season ended and now I'm going to think about it? How do you make those decisions? 'Cause I think a lot of people, you're an extreme example of this, just because being a 6-year senior and being in your 30s and having played professional baseball before. But a lot of these other guys, it's time to make a decision. They go through the evaluation process. And I think fans, and certainly me being on the outside, we look at it and we just see the result, but we don't understand the process. So what is the process of, okay, I have to make up my mind and decide for my future? What are all the things that you think about in that moment?
A lot of it was I felt like I've at LSU accomplished everything that I came here to accomplish.
Yeah.
And there's a young kid coming along, and I feel like I've been here 5 years, and it seemed not necessarily selfish to stay a 6th year, but a 6th year would really clog up that pipeline of somebody else's opportunity. And on top of that, I felt like I had a good enough year, and I proved myself this year, if you will, that I had a chance to play at the next level. And ultimately, that would be the end goal anyway after next season. And I thought I had the best opportunity now with, a lot of punters that are going to be, as we've seen, Morstead and a couple of veteran guys that have already, been cut. I love Morstead and I love a lot of these guys that are being cut, but they're being priced out. After a COVID year with no fans, it's going to give a lot more players a lot more opportunities that otherwise wouldn't have had it. So it was just a perfect situation. I came out punting well and improving on things I needed to improve on, and then the opportunity itself kind of fell in my lap with the NFL and the opportunity.
A lot of what tomorrow is, and we're talking on Tuesday, Wednesday is the actual pro day for those who are listening well after the fact. Well, a lot of what tomorrow is physical. It's how fast can you run, how high can you jump, how far can you jump, how quick are you. for you as a punter, as you're going through this process, how much of it is physical? You're punting for teams, you're showing them what you can do with your leg. How much of it is the mental stuff that you've been talking about in the personality test? What's the how do the scales tip for your specific position?
You know, punting is always about this kick, and it's not about the previous kick. It's not about the next kick. It's always about that moment. You're 14, 15 yards behind the snapper. You're in a situation against Florida with 3 minutes left, and you got to put a ball inside the 10-yard line. And it comes down to that. It's mindfulness. It's the present moment and how important it is within the game. And it's a game within the game. You know, the field position battle means so much in the NFL now, and with analytics, that you have to, you know, own that moment. And that's something that I felt like I've with baseball and my career in athletics has really helped me have mindfulness of situations and understanding what my job is and how I need to accomplish what I need to do.
You brought up a very specific punt there, the Florida punt. How much have you talked about that game?
I
think I heard you on the radio, maybe.
I've talked more about the Cade's kick because of the fog, because I've had so many questions of, like, could you see the uprights, which we couldn't, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, I didn't know it was good. Cade was running. The only reason I said this before, Cade was running off the field, and that's how I knew it was good, because I heard him yelling. But no,
Dude, I'm gonna interrupt you. He knew it like as soon as he kicked it.
Mm-hmm.
The video is incredible. When he kicks it, he like basically kicks it, looks at it for a half second, and takes off running. And I'm like, how did he know that it was in the second it left his foot?
he told me, he said he hit it perfect.
Yeah.
He knew off the foot because he hit it so clean. I knew it was a good hit in terms of power, but I didn't
Can
know.
you feel that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can hear it more than anything.
Yeah.
And that solid contact, I knew like it was going to have the distance. I know it sounds weird, but when you have thousands and thousands
Sure.
of reps with the same guy,
it's intuitive.
you hear things the same way, and when it comes off like that, you're like, okay, he smoked it. Like,
Yeah.
It's got the distance. It's got to be straight.
Yeah.
And so yeah, in that moment, I knew he had the distance because of how well and clean he hit the ball, but I didn't know if it was going to be straight. And once he took off running, I was like, all right, yeah, it's good.
Have you watched it back like multiple times, or is it one of those things you just watch it once in the broadcast? You're like, all right, I've seen it now.
I haven't watched it so much on like an iPad. I've watched it more on like television because I recorded it and like just wanted to relive the moment, if you will. And that's kind of like what makes it more fun, because you can just hear the collective just groan in the stand, just, oh my god, I can't believe he made that. And so that's the fun part. That's because it dashed our season. You know, they were rolling. You know, I think they started 7-0 or something.
Yeah.
And they ended up losing the last 3 games of the season, and we got to play a role in that. You know.
I think I heard you at some point say that was one of your favorite moments of your career. Obviously, you win a national championship. You've had some fun moments from, you know, going back to Tennessee in the pouring rain, you know, hitting 2 great punts that they muffed and we picked up and ended up winning that game. National championship. That game against Florida. Like, what are the standout moments? What are like the top 3 from your career? Because it was such a, I don't want to say wild career, but like, to win a national championship, obviously you get the highest of highs, and then there were some struggles certainly in 2020. Certainly before that, you were around for the Troy loss. Like, what are the moments you remember from your career that really you're going to take away with you?
So outside of the national championship, I'll say the Florida game where we gator chomped with 100,000 people out there, and or 100,000 people gator chomped, rather, is what I should say.
Yeah.
And that was in the fourth quarter. That was something.
That was 19, right? That was 19.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was 19. That was electric.
that was fun.
Then I would say the Auburn game, the Cole Tracy kick.
Yeah.
That was special because you know we stormed the field and tackled him, and that was even though I like cramped so bad I had to like get carried off the field. That's like one of the embarrassing things. On a personal level, I think my first punt, big situation punt against Florida in 2017 when we went down there and beat them.
Yep. The week after Troy.
Yeah, we had like 3 minutes left in the game, and I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to pin him inside the 10, and I put it on like the 3-yard line.
Yeah,
that was a huge.
I remember that.
And in terms of my headspace and confidence as a punter, to be able to go out there and just take a deep breath in the middle of the field and say, hit the ball to the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
And obviously I got it, you know, better result than that, but that was my goal, was to get it inside the 10, and that punt gave me the confidence. I was like, you know what, I can do it. I can do this. And then on top of that, obviously the national championship.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's such a blur now. I wish
Sure.
I could like had a GoPro on me at all times just to kind of capture the entire moment. But then again, like it's so special to just think about, and the post game and everybody in the locker room, the celebration, and even on the field, last few minutes of the game, you're just like, I can't believe we did it.
Yeah.
We grinded through this for a year, and went through some struggles, had close games against Auburn and Texas. Texas game was special too. The 3rd and 17 was unbelievable. That 2019 is a highlight reel.
Yeah, we could just take it out of the equation. The whole thing is amazing.
Yeah, it was just such a run. But yeah, it was special. There was a lot of times in there that I'll remember and I'll cherish forever.
I've pledged on this podcast to never talk about two things: Miles Brennan's weight, which is no longer an issue, by the way. But I just get tired of people talking about it. And your age, I think it's overdone. And I know you enjoy it and you lean into it, but it's been done. But I'm going to ask you an age question, and it's a relevant one. A lot of times you're getting ready for the draft. Age is a detriment. They want the younger player. They want the prospect that's going to bloom over time. That's more of an NBA thing, but even with the NFL, like age is a factor. For you, age may be a factor, but it's also an asset, right? So how do you think teams are looking at that, knowing, okay, well, he's not a 22-year-old punter that we're going to get 20 years out of, but we've seen what, not to make the comparison, but Tom Brady is playing well into his 40s. Guys are playing well into their 40s now, and you're at a position where you can take care of your body. You can play a long career. So how do you think they're looking at it? How are you looking at it?
Well, the good news is for me, and from the stance of pitching, it's a perfect example. My arm was essentially wearing out pretty early on in my baseball career.
Yeah.
Because I was, from the time I was 3-4 years old, all I did all year round was throw a baseball.
Yeah.
And so look at that from the perspective of punting. I only punted my senior year of high school after playing soccer most of my life, and soccer ended in ninth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that 2008 season punting, I didn't punt again until 2016.
Yeah.
So there's an 8-year gap of no wear and tear, nothing. That sounds bad, but I picked it up and obviously got it back.
So you have the leg of a 22-year-old.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at. But no, there's no wear and tear of a normal 30-year-old punter kicker.
Yeah.
I don't have the lingering issues. I have more arm issues from throwing than I do from punting.
Yeah, and you just needed to drop it now. You don't need to throw it anymore.
Exactly. So yeah, I have my coach Greg McMahon always jokes with me. He's got a young leg. He's got a young leg because he knows I haven't kicked that much, and I don't have the mileage that a typical 30-year-old punter in the NFL otherwise would have. And which is true. I never have leg issues at all in terms. I overkick just because I have a bad habit of doing that. Because I'm like, I need to kick 5 more.
Yeah, perfectionism.
But yeah, right. Especially when I'm having a day where I'm just off or whatever. But no, my leg is fresh, and that's it's a great asset for me, and I can continue to say that because I didn't punt for 8 years from age 18 until I was 25.
Yeah. What's this next step going to be like for you? Obviously, pro day tomorrow. Are you doing any kicking tomorrow? Are you just going to be there to talk to teams? What's tomorrow going to look like for you?
So hopefully the weather holds off, but I plan on punting outside.
Okay.
And regardless, if it's raining, I'll probably punt anyway.
Yeah.
And I'll just punt until the balls are waterlogged.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to have, the opportunity at hand be presented and not at least kick a football in front of some teams. And so I'm going to do my best with whatever the circumstances are, and that's out of my control. But at the same time, it is what it is. And I know I'll get another opportunity down the way, maybe at a showcase or whatever to punt again. But I know that I'm prepared and I'm excited.
And then the step after that, obviously the draft and specialists is always a weird spot to be in because some get taken, some don't. What's your approach to that process, interviewing with teams and trying to find the right fit for you in the next step of your life?
I want like I said, I've said this before. I don't really care where I go. I just want the team to want and to believe in me the same way that I was believed in here. I was given an opportunity in 2016, and I ran with it. And I plan on having that exact same opportunity at the next level because I've proven that I can rise to the occasion in that way. I'm a competitor. I'm not I want to win games. I don't want to just go to the NFL and I'm just going to be a guy that just collects a check. I want to go somewhere that I can win and that we can win. And at every level and every, in high school, we won state championships, and professional baseball won a championship, and in the NFL I want to win a championship. So ultimately I've won at every level, and I wouldn't like that. I would like that to continue in the NFL. That's the ultimate, right? So I would hope that I can land on a competitive team, because I'm a competitive person, and I hate losing.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
That ring collection is going to be pretty impressive if you can pick up the Super Bowl ring.
Right. Then I'd have a ring in every sport or every level, like high school, Little League, whatever, all the way up. So that would be awesome.
Yeah, well, my recommendation would be to find the Sam Nader of whatever NFL team you want to go to and just write them a really good letter. And then you can have the email for them, and then you'll be set just like you were here.
I need to find out. Yeah, you're exactly right. I don't know if that's tampering, though. Can I email like the Sam Nader of whatever team? Like, I don't even know. That might be illegal.
That might be illegal. Don't follow my advice. Consult your lawyer, consult your agent, whatever, before you do that. Zach, great catching up with you. Excited to watch you take the next step in your career. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you.